What's up guys, Danny Carlson here, and this video is going to be about the trend hammer that has come down on the way that people work. So it used to be that everyone worked in big corporations with hundreds of employees and you showed up at an office and all that kind of stuff. But there's been a trend that's been kind of growing for the past 20 years where it's more and more becoming smaller companies and smaller micro freelancers. So instead of 200 employees at a company, a lot of companies have 200 remote employees, or they have a mix between employees and freelancers, people who are just working for themselves, and they do some work with this company, some work with this company, right? And more we're moving towards that. And coronavirus outbreak was kind of like the hammer that just came down and is really accelerating that curve. So this video is going to be about what those changes are, how to position yourself to take advantage of those things, and the different options you have if you are not really satisfied with the current job you have, or maybe you're just uncertain that your job is going to exist in the future. A lot of people are looking at if they're happy with their current career path right now, and now's a great time to make a pivot on that. So we're going to get into the options. So really quick point, is profiting during a crisis wrong? If you think it is, then you automatically will not be able to profit during a crisis, right? Just because a lot of other people are in a negative situation does not mean that there are not great opportunities out there for you to take advantage of. And if you are constantly worried about what other people will think or anything like that, then this video is probably not for you. Okay, opportunity number one. More demand for remote workers and freelancers. So obviously companies are just really being forced to shift how they do work. All their current employees are going remote, and so for that reason, there's not as much of a reason for them to not just hire a freelancer in place of that. A lot of companies currently are already utilizing freelancers in some aspect of their business. In my business, we use freelancers for all sorts of things like podcast editing, video editing, general virtual assistant, sales outreach, and stuff like that. And more, you're going to be seeing companies doing the same with a lot of their positions. And a lot of companies right now, I've actually met a lot of my friends who have negotiated a freelance position with their current employer. So they're working at their job, they knew they wanted to work for themselves, and they negotiated to work as a freelancer on more of a part-time basis or even a full-time basis, but then also have the option to price their services and work for other companies as well on the side. So that's one way to make a really smooth transition for the job you're doing right now into something like freelancing or entrepreneurship. And so within this one, there's varying levels of freedom that you can gain right there, right? So number one is you're working your 9-to-5 job and you show up to the office every day. Number two might be you can work remotely some days of the week, and some days you have to show up to the office. Number three might be you can work fully remotely wherever you want as long as you get your work done. Number four might be that you negotiate a part-time work agreement where you only have to work 3 days a week or something like that. Number five would be you're working as a freelancer, so you're doing the work on your own terms. As long as you're getting the work done, then you're getting paid for it. And number five would be you're building a full-blown agency, and really your job at that point is to get new customers and to grow the business, and you have people fulfilling the work for you. So that's a really great opportunity right now. A lot more of those positions are going to be popping up, so it's good to position yourself to take advantage of those. Opportunity number two, and I only recommend this one if you already have some sort of relevant experience to e-commerce or creating products, or you have a good chunk of money to invest, because e-commerce is expensive. But e-commerce is massively growing right now. So luckily my agency, Kenji ROI, serves brands that are in e-commerce, and some of our clients are seeing 5x growth in their sales right now during this period. And Amazon just recently hired 100,000 new employees to take advantage of the growth and demand that's going on. They're just absolutely exploding their sales. The reason for that is there's a lot of people locked up in quarantine right now who they're making their very first e-commerce sale. They are going online for the first time and buying something and getting it shipped to the house because that's the only way they can get it. And I can guarantee that a very large percentage of those people are going to be repeat e-commerce customers. The convenience of Amazon Prime 2-day shipping is freaking addictive. Like, honestly, I didn't get addicted to it until I started selling on Amazon myself, and then I started realizing how convenient it is, and then I started buying more stuff. It's very addictive. So while it is a really growing market right now, I don't recommend getting into e-commerce unless you have at least $10,000 to spend. The reason for that is that the cash flow of a business like that is it's very hungry for more cash. So it's very hard to extract profit and pay yourself out of that business for the first year if you want to actually have a chance at succeeding and growing. So an example is you you pay for your first round of inventory and you get it shipped from China, you get it manufactured, shipped into Amazon, and then let's say it starts selling really well. So you're selling through your inventory, and now you need to make the purchase order for your second round of inventory, but you still haven't got paid from Amazon yet for the first round of inventory. So you maybe have to put it on a line of credit or something like that. So you get paid for that round, and then you keep paying for more rounds, keep having to launch new products. It never really ends, the cash flow demands of these businesses. That's why most people I know who have sold an e-commerce business have at one point had to max out or nearly max out all of their credit and personal credit cards and everything to fund the growth of their business. So inventory it's a big cash flow game. And if you don't have at least $10,000, I think you're setting yourself up for failure. Seriously, guys, don't be caught up by all the Amazon FBA gurus and stuff out there saying that you should start with $1,000 and you can just make a good side income and it's passive and all this stuff. It's definitely not the case. They are often showing their revenue numbers only and don't talk about how much profit they're making. Oftentimes, they're not making hardly any profit. You can be making $50,000 a month in sales, but if you're constantly reinvesting it into more products, then you're not actually able to pay yourself anything. Okay, now it's time for option number 3, and I think this is the best one because this is the path that I've taken, and there's a lot of reasons why it's the best one, especially for someone who has not started their own business before and has always worked some kind of job for a company, and that is providing digital services to other businesses. So basically, I think the best way to do this, if you already have some kind of skills, doesn't matter if it's from your hobbies or from a previous job or something like that, there's almost always something in your past experience that you can utilize to provide that service for other businesses and get paid for it. So this is in terms of as a consultant or freelancer or eventually your own agency once you can hire some employees and things like that. But there is a lot of reasons why this is the best. Number one, it doesn't take any money to start. Like I literally started my agency when I was $20,000 in debt from the failure of a previous business, and I was able to immediately start making a pretty decent amount of money from it. It's got some downsides too. We'll get to that in a second, but most other businesses take a large amount of money to start, especially in e-commerce. I mentioned $10,000 is probably what you should invest, but you can start this if you literally have no money, and as long as you can provide that service for the business, then you can get paid for it. And right now, there are a ton of businesses that are desperate for digital services, right? So many businesses are forced to go more to online sales channels and make more of the operations online. And it's going to take them many months or even years to teach themselves how to do these things. They probably don't have the employees in place to do them. The founders themselves don't really understand it enough. So their only real viable option is to hire people that already know what they're doing, i.e. you. So let's look at some examples of what you can actually provide for businesses. So my business provides Amazon FBA services for brands that are selling on Amazon. We do Amazon pay-per-click management, product photography, things like that. Some of my students, they do customer service, they do sales, they do product photography. There's some more Amazon people in there. SEO, search engine optimization. Almost every local business wants search engine optimization. It's very powerful. It's actually the biggest traffic source for the majority of websites. Managing Facebook ads, creating and managing social media content, lead generation for realtors, doctors, dentists. There's so many different digital services that you can provide to businesses that right now desperately need people that know what they're doing in any of these kind of services. So just have a really deep think for yourself. Like, what am I really good at? What are my skill sets? What is my network? Who are the people that I know? And how could I craft that as an offer to businesses to help them out and get compensated for it? So luckily in today's day and age, there's more resources to learn this kind of stuff than there's ever been before. I learned completely from podcasts and online courses. I think the online courses that I took before I really got success with my agency was maybe $5,000 worth of online courses from a bunch of different things, a bunch of completely free podcasts and YouTube videos, compared to going to school and getting an MBA or something like that, which is like $100,000. It's a pretty damn good deal, right? And you can learn it at your own speed, which for me is 2x speed on podcasts or YouTube videos to learn really fast. And you can learn only the things that you want to learn. So online education has never been in a better place. But that being said, I think the number one biggest thing stopping most people is there's not enough pain or there's not enough desire to reach that achieved result. I think right now that's changing a lot because a lot of people are just forced into being off work or just like laid off or something like that. And so they're forced to reconsider. But even now, there is like a launch point. There needs to be a significant barrier between doing it and not doing it. And to break through that barrier requires usually a lot of pain with your current situation. So if you're one of those people who is crossing that threshold barrier and you feel like you really need to do something, then leverage that feeling, because that's what stops the majority of people from ever even starting with that dream business they want or working for themselves as a freelancer or something like that, is just not being able to get through that barrier. They're just too comfortable where they are. They're getting paid enough. They they like their coworkers, I guess, right? And so breaking through that barrier, if you are pushing through that right now, take advantage of that momentum and just start with it. So that's all I got for you today, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. I just want to end with the things that helped me the most through my journey of working for myself was community. In the beginning, it was really hard for me. I really didn't have any other people in my life that were on the same path as me, that had the same mindset as me. I had no examples of people who had successfully gone and done their own thing and worked for themselves. So it felt very lonely, and I couldn't really talk about any of the stuff I was learning with anyone around me. It was really lonely, and like any time I came up against some mental block, it was much harder to get to because I couldn't really relate to anyone. I thought I was going a little crazy. And so once I started to surround myself with other people on the same path who were like-minded and going through the same things, it started to normalize that all a little bit more. So I have a Facebook group called Freedom Actualizers of all the people who are on the same path, people who are already successful agency owners or on their way to becoming agency owners and freelancers. So I post a lot of content like this in there and just help everyone out with various things. And people just post for accountability and that community aspect when they're on the path. Number 2, I have a podcast called the Danny Carlson Podcast where I interview successful agency owners and really inspiring entrepreneurs. I go into a lot of mindset stuff as well. I try to sneak that in there ninja-like, but really it's about the business content. Number 3, if you are already someone who you know you're on this path and you know you want to do it and you know you need the guidance, then I have a program called Freedom Agency Blueprint. It is not a cheap program and it's only for a small amount of people that I take on. So there's a pretty rigorous interview process, but that's for someone who they know that they want to build the agency and they need someone to handhold them and give them the exact process and templates to build their agency. So all those resources are going to be in the link below. See you guys in the Facebook group and let me know what you think about this whole crazy situation that's going on because of COVID. Till next time, kick some ass.